Hello everyone. And oh my god, where's my guest? I'm gonna show them, but I thought to have start with something funny. I am live. Do you see that? Yes, welcome to another impactful episode of Stories That Impact from sunny Melbourne Day today in Australia. My today's episode is a very special episode in a way is it just fits right in the current situation where the world is. Imagine for a moment, and this is happening with everyone, is that there are senior citizens, there are elderly people, there are parents, grandparents, and people who need some care in your house. With the nature of our humans, we definitely would love to take care of them all the time, and we try our best. It's just that we do not have the right education and right understanding of how to give the care properly. My guest today is a doctor. Dr. Swati is a fun loving, victorious, gold medalist, PhD in biology, a researcher by nature, and an education guru. She's a traveler and loves to explore the world. Let me put it this way, she is a party girl in a way. Soon, she realized that while she is growing up, her parents are getting older as well. And with that, their emotional and medical needs increased. An unfortunate event took her father away, and the entire world came crashing down to her. Her mother is on a 24 by 7 oxygen therapy. She cannot live without oxygen in her nose and needs help with her day to day activities. Swati had no choice but to reinvent herself from a carefree bird to a dedicated caregiver and take care of her mother now. In this crucial times where COVID is impacting so many of us and we are worried all the time, caregiving and understanding caregiving, how to take care of these elderly people or the caretakers is very, very essential. With that, I would like to welcome my guest, Dr. Swati. Hello, Dr. Swati, how are you? You're on mute.
Oops.
How are you
Thank you
doing?
for having me. I'm good.
Great. So, first of all, thank you very much for taking time out to come to my show and sharing this very, very critical thing. So, before I dive into the caregiving aspect of it, I would just like to touch base a bit of your carefree life that you had earlier, and how it just changed. How it changed, because that's exactly, for many it's like the pre-COVID and post-COVID situation in many cases. So I would just like to hear that part from you.
Hmm. My parents did not raise a princess actually. They raised an empress. And that's who I am. Independent, decision maker, and that kind of personality is often tagged as a carefree person. It's not carefree, uh, it's a well educated, well thought through person who can take his own decisions. So that kind of person I was. When I decided I want to study, I did, and I got all the gold medals and all the degrees I wanted. When I thought I have to party, I partied, and I assure you I got gold medal in that it also. So yeah, I don't like to have regrets of anything in my life, and that is a very bad feeling to have. So yeah, all in all, no regrets in life. I did everything I could think of. I have traveled solo. I've traveled solo for 30 days, 40 days to unknown countries, backpacker life. I have been to the mountains. I've done river rafting. uh, deep diving, everything. I've done that. But yeah, that was like, I used to go out, and then I used to call my father, okay, I won't be coming home tonight because I have left for so and so place, and I will be back in 2 days. So will you be able to manage everything? So because he was taking care of my mama and house and everything. So he was like, yeah, yeah, who's with you? I used to tell, okay, these are my friends. They always knew who was with me. And then they were like, okay, take care. And then they kept on like waiting for my phone calls that she will. And I used to like call them and text them that about my whereabouts. But that was like inborn thing in me. I knew I have to tell them, not because I'm a girl and I have to be answerable, but because I knew they won't eat anything, they won't sleep with peace if I don't do that. So that's how I was.
Wow. Wow. So it's very interesting. I like your point when you said that, caregiver doesn't mean that, you're not you're just like on the roads or something. It's how your parents raised, and more importantly, how they have enough trust on you, to give you the freedom to go out. And like you said, it's the empress treatment, and not just just a child way. So how things changed for you, and when did that happen?
Things are like, I always am a dreamer. When everybody was preparing for being a doctor in 11th or 12th standard, I opted a subject to become a scientist. And then I always knew I wanted to be a scientist. I'm a researcher and I'm an artist. So I knew about, I am not a doctor wala. I am a doctorate. That's why Dr.Swati Vyas. And I proudly say that. So things changed, that my dreams were always big enough to have people laugh on me, call me crazy. And I always loved this quote when, like, you say why, and I say why not. So that's how I was. But dreams were getting bigger, and the effort was like getting bigger because my involvement was needed to make those dreams real. I was doing that. But then I did not realize till a certain point that as I'm growing older, my parents are also growing older. And there is this uh, thing that I've inherited from my grandparents and my parents, that we are good in reading between the lines. So I started picking up those signs early. And then when I was given a choice, I came back home from hostels and I chose to do my PhD in Jaipur so that I can be with my parents. Although they were fine at that time, but I thought they need me and I need them. So I came back home. But then my mom's knee started hurting in the initial, जिसको हम बहुत ही आम बात मानते हैं कि अच्छा बुढ़ापा है तो घुटने तो दुखेंगे ही. So it started from there. And she was suffering a lot because of the knee pain. She was getting medications and things. But वो क्या है कि जब तक वो दर्द हद से नहीं गुजर जाता है, तब तक हम उस पर ध्यान नहीं देते. So it had to be that intense that you start giving attention to it, the pain. And then it happened. So my mom had a lot of medical problems. She once got like backache. She was stuck on bed for 3 months. She could not move. She had such a severe backache, and then knee was hurting. But then it was all something which we have already seen in out around us. Like, this happens. This is normal. But then we were shook when she was hooked to an oxygen pipe. She could not breathe. She could not walk inside the house itself. And that was becoming scary. And then one day, I am thankful to that person. He was a hospital staff. I took my mother to emergency room at 2 a.m. morning. And my father was bedridden. He he was recovering from an accident. His hip bone was fractured, crushed. So he was on bed rest. I was alone, and my mom had that episode of breathlessness. And I had to leave my father in that condition. and I have to rush to the emergency. And there was this person who I knew because I visited hospital so much. So he told me that, Didi, like sister, you should get an oxygen cylinder at your home. It's high time you buy one because it will be lethal for your mother. You will never know, you will not make to the hospital someday. And I was terrified, and I called up my brother. He was in another city, and I told him that this is the situation and I now need you. So he flew in the morning, he came to Jaipur, and then we first thing we did was we bought an oxygen cylinder, and we brought Ma home back with that pipe. And then it was like initially for some time she needed it, but then it was progressive. That's what we were told, and it became a 24-hour thing. So that was like, then my mind was shattered completely. I did not know what to do now, because a lady is like, she's the source of energy. She runs the whole show for your house. You might not realize it. You might not give her that credit. You might take her for granted, but that is the hardcore reality. Because she is feeding you, you are able to go to office and earn lakhs and thousands and whatever money and dollar you are earning, because she is taking care of everything. She is taking care of your emotional needs and your house and your children and everything. So then this was something that turned everything around. I And because it was a gradual process, Amit, it was not one day. So my mind started shifting. I wanted to go to Germany or to some European country, and I wanted to be scientist there. I wanted to settle down there. But then I started thinking, if this is the end of life, if this is how we age, will it be worth doing what I'm doing? Will it cause, like, will I be any different from any other person on this planet? Everybody is doing that. Study, get a job, get married, have kids, take care of parents, call them once in a while. How my life will be of any significance then? And why does it matter if I'm in India or in Germany? So then the shift started happening in my mind, and that's how everything like shifted. The turn came.
Oh, wow. So this is quite, you know, disheartening, I would say. I mean, what I mean to say is that, when you specifically, when the value of oxygen is very, very, very critical, and we see that now, right now in the current situation, specifically in India, it is so very important that, and it's so bad that, we oxygen is like air, breathing air, right? And if you're deprived of that, it's like one of the things that is like there in the nature, and now you have to survive on something else. So tell me, and I know it might be challenging for you, but I just want to ask this, is that what happened with your father's death? I mean, how did he passed away? And what was the situation back then? Because I know you'd be pretty young, and you have your own life in a way that you're studying, or you're done with your grad degrees, but then you might be either looking for a job, but you have to take care of people at home. So what happened with his death, and how did you and your mother coped up with that? And when did that happen? Which year?
So to answer that, I will have to start with few months back from him passing away. So what was happening was, our mind plays funny tricks with us. So when you feel helpless, that is not a very good feeling to help. And when my mother was getting sicker and my father was not also in a very good shape, although he was like uh, trying to do as much as he could, but he was about 70 when he passed away. So he was facing his own health and mental challenges, like emotional challenges. And it was such a negative feeling in the house that I did not want it to be in the house. And I think this is the first time I'm admitting this to someone. Although I wanted to take care of them, but it was so burdening and so frustrating. No matter what I did, my parents were getting sicker and sicker and older, and I could not do anything about it. And then to escape that, I used to party a lot, and I used to escape from this house. Like, I used to go somewhere, I used to go with my friends, or I used to go alone on drives. I just did not want it to be. I just made sure that I kept my phone on. I was around my house. So whenever any emergency arises, I come back. So even I chose a job as a professor nearby my house so that I can come from college whenever needed. That was happening, and thankfully, a day before I returned from a 2 day trip somewhere, and it was 2nd of December 2018. It was a Sunday, and because I was extremely spoiled child of my parents, I told my father to please cook me some good breakfast that morning. And he did not get up from his bed. And that was really bothering me, that why is he not getting up? Because that was not his usual behavior. For me, he was always there. And to feed me, he was always there. So I thought, what is happening to him? And then he got up and he was very slow that day. He was not even making the eye contact. And I kept on asking him, what is happening to you? He said that he might be having some issues with his digestion, and which was an usual thing with him. So still I could sense that something is not good. Like, something is not usual. And I was around him, hovering around him that day. Thankfully I was home and in my senses. So, and somebody visited us that day, a near person to us. He visited us. My father was talking a bit sometime on, and that was the first day I made tea. Like, my father was present and I'm in the kitchen, so that was the first day. So even the guest was bothered that something is wrong with my father. But he was reluctant to go to the hospital, and he kept on saying that I will not go and see a doctor. I'm okay. And then it was like 12 o'clock afternoon, and then by the time the guests left, 2 o'clock, and 2:05 or 2:10, my father had a stroke. And I did not even understand that it's a stroke because I've never seen that. Like, I have read about it a lot. I've been through that education. I've heard people having a stroke, but then when it happened to my father, I could not make it out. And I started shouting. I said, Daddy, what is happening to you? Tell me, speak up. And he was not able to speak. His face was like, it was something like this. So the jaw was tilted and he could not speak, and he fell beside on the bed. So I was not able to understand. But my mom, she heard it. She was in the other room. She dragged her oxygen machine. Somehow she got that courage and she came to this room. This is the very room I'm sitting in right now. So, and this is the place my father was sitting. Actually, this was the place where the bed was placed, and he was sitting there with this wall. So what a coincidence. So yeah, this never came to my mind actually. I every day sit here and I work. But okay, so he was sitting here, and like, my mommy came in and she said, take him to the hospital. And I said, no, no, he will be fine. And mommy said, no, don't waste another second. I know what is happening. Take him to the hospital. And then we have a house help. She came at the right moment. Both of us actually dragged and picked up my father. I picked up in like this. I picked up my father, and I somehow managed to take him to the hospital. I don't know what happened in those 15 minutes. Some superpower came into me. I drove like a Superman, and then something happened, and I reached emergency. Between the drive, he had another stroke. In the hospital in front of me, he had another stroke. And then after that, he had two more strokes. And the only word he could say was Gudda. That's my name. So he was shouting that in the emergency room, and doctors were not able to take hold of him. So he kept on shouting, and then I barged in. I said, "You do whatever you want to do. He will not cooperate if he does not see me. So you will have to let me in." So they took me into the emergency room, and then I pacified my father. He only trusted me in that situation because everybody else was a stranger there. So maybe the mind was like he was looking for some certainty or somebody familiar. So then I asked him, and somehow he struggled for 15 hours, and he ran away from doctors and machines and hospitals all his life. And there was not a single machine or injection or medicine in that hospital that was not applied to him that day. He was put on dialysis, ventilator, central cuts. So the last memory I have of my father is not a very pleasant memory to have as a child. Still in that situation, when I met him for the last time, he smiled at me, and sorry, and
Take, take your time.
I told him that I love him. I think we miss that a lot, and usually we tell our mothers a lot that we love them and we hug them and we kiss them, but usually we don't do that with our fathers somehow. I don't know about others, but that's not the scene in my family. So even to show love, we used to just side hug sometimes when it was a very like happy moment or something. Or my father just used to smile. He used to give a big smile, and that was the love that he showed. And even I did the same. But that day I hold his hand. It was soft, warm, and he held it back. I could see the pressure in my hand. And then I said, "I love you and thank you." And he smiled. And he said, "I love you" with his eyes because he could not speak because of that pipe in his mouth. So, and his hands were tied. His hands were tied to the bedside because he was taking out those. It is not a pleasant feeling to have those things. It's painful. So he was snatching it out. So doctors tied him, and I shouted at the doctors like, "How can you treat him like that? You have tied his hands so tightly, like I could see the marks." So they told me that he is not cooperating and he is snatching things away and it will be difficult for him. So that is why we are doing it. I said, "Okay, but still tie something that is soft." And you know, that was my reaction. And then I told him that Bhaiya is coming and Ma is on the way. And he said no. He was like he knew my mother in such a fragile state. Bringing my mummy hospital was a big deal. Thank God to the friends that came to my rescue that day. And they did not leave by my side for all those 15 hours. I've seen how hospitals are watched. So I know the complete procedure now, what happens in hospitals at night, what time, what person comes. And we were roaming here and there, but I was not agreeing to leave him. And I don't know what happened. I thought my father needs an enema. He is not having a good digestion. I never knew I will not bring him back. Like that was never the plan. And like in the car when I was taking him to the hospital, I told him that you never listen to me. You never take care of your health, and once we come back this time, you will have to stick to my plans. I will not let you do what you want. And he was like, मैं तेरी तो बात सुनता हूँ गुड्डा और किसकी सुनता हूँ. So those are the last few words.
Relax, relax, Swati. Take a moment.
I
Relax.
I still am processing it, and every time I tell this to somebody, like even if I remember those scenes in my mind, I don't. Sometimes I feel this is a bad dream. I will wake up and it's a bad dream. So God, please end it now. But then it does not end. Yeah.
True.
So
True.
it's
So,
but
I'm first of all, and I'm extremely sorry that I just got all those emotions back in you. But I'm also glad that you shared it, because really sharing it with somebody does lighten up a bit. uh it definitely brings back all the emotions, but it also brings back a lot of memories, and a lot of love, and those last words. And you also, now you said, like, how you remember is exactly the same place where he was the last time, the same wall, the same room, the same place. And it's just yeah, it's just, I don't know what word it is, but yeah, grab some water if you want to.
a lot
Clean.
of people say, and I know what you mean. I've heard a lot in 3 years whenever whenever somebody talks to me about it. And people say it will fade away, things will pass with time. But let me tell you one thing, it never passes away. And in fact, with time, the pain increases because now when I grow in my life, when I get that recognition, when somebody appreciates me, when I'm being awarded, when I come to the great shows like this, I want to tell that to my dad. And I want to see that smile, big smile again. And now I'm helpless, I can't do that. So this pain will increase and I'm prepared for it mentally. I will grow in my life, and the more successful I become, this pain will become more intense. But I embrace it with my whole heart. I have a big space for that in my heart now. Because I know this will never go away. A lot of people say me everything will be fine, just get married. I just want to abuse them back. How will it go away if I get a husband? Is
Yeah.
that a replacement for my father? So,
I,
yeah,
I completely agree with you on that fact that it doesn't go away. And yes, with every success or whatever happens in your life, you would love to go back and tell him, and then you realize that, oh my God, I don't have him. And
yes.
it gets into it. Now, let me ask you the next part of
Mm.
caregiving, right? So now I understand that you have a person at your place, your mother, who's on 24 by 7 oxygen,
Yeah.
and and up to a point that you have to take care of her, right? It's day in, day out,
Yeah.
correct? And with the COVID situation, it is a little, not little, it's far more immersed than I could imagine, because now not only your mother is at that age where she needs a lot of attention, but she's also medically at that point that you have to, like, really shun off the whole society, everything and everybody across, because you just can't risk her life. In fact, not even your life in that case, right? Because you can't be a host to the COVID area. So what are you doing with the caregiver thoughts, and where did it came out from, stem out from, how it started?
It started with the word death. So when you keep that reality in your mind, that death is real, and that is something we always avoid talking about. So when I witnessed death in front of me, I realized it's inevitable, like in a real sense. I could touch the death. I could sense it on my skin. When like I was holding my father's hand, people call him a body, but I say till he was not burnt, I call him my father. So I will not use the word body. But when he was like, the rituals were about to happen, I was still sitting with my father holding his hand. but the warmth was not there anymore. It was a cold hand. So that that made me realize, Amit, you cannot escape talking about this topic. There is no escape from it. And the more fast you accept that, it will be better for you to do what is needed in that hour. So, like when my father passed away, after that, I actually did not cry or do anything. I was numb. I was numb for a whole year. I was numb. I was not feeling anything. I actually stopped feeling my extremities. I could not feel my fingertips. I lost the sensations in my hand. So that's how, like, maybe my mind was helping me to survive that intense pain. So why did this caregiver thing happen? Now, I lost one parent. I obviously do not want to lose another in any cost. So when you think of not going out, not being able to move out, not to do certain things in your life which right now might feel very important, like traveling, partying, going to the friends, just going for a lone drive, that were very important to me. But then when you compare it with the cost you will have to pay, you can easily weigh. But the only thing that we miss is the end result. So I started framing, like, because my brain, thankfully, I've been educated and trained in that way that my I see the end point and then I frame back, reverse engineering. So I thought, what if I don't step in now? And what if I just be physically present, just in this numb state? Will I be able to do the justice to what I want to do with my mother? Like, is breathing enough, or is that living? Just breathing is not living. I wanted her to live, to thrive, not just to survive. So that's how, like, I reinvented everything. And then this thought came to me that, okay, now I don't want to struggle with things. I don't want to struggle within my head, my career or my mother, my personal life or my mother, my particular me time or my mother. I combined everything. And then I thought, okay, now let's do the re-engineering now. Let's get into, because the funny thing about caregiving is it is never spoken about. Your parents will never ever train you to be a caregiver because they never want that to happen to you. They That's what I say. We never talk about death. So I never had this conversation with my parents like, what if they die? What if they die tomorrow morning? What will I do? So nobody talks like that, and nobody wants to think like that. And I agree that it might sound like a sadist, but I'm talking about the reality. So it's the most unprepared and unwelcomed role, which I say, like, undesired. Nobody wants to be that. But in our head, we know that we all are caregivers. We know that maybe not this extent like I am doing, but maybe something or other. Somebody has a heart disease, somebody has diabetes. So the place I come from, like my ancestral city, Jodhpur, it's a normal thing. Every person has diabetes there. We are the hub of diabetes. Every single person I hear of has diabetes. So it's a normal thing to have. But I realized what is the missing link in that. We don't talk about death, and when we are like in this stage, like which in I am right now and which you are right now, we take things for granted like anything. So we think that self care is a luxury, but it's a duty. You are born as a human being, and if you are reproducing and having children, so please don't have children so that बुढ़ापे की लाठी बनेंगे. उस थॉट से मत बच्चे करो, बिकॉज उनका भी लाइफ है, और अगर उसलिए करना तो बुढ़ापे तक पहुंच भी क्यों रहे हैं आप? वाई टू like ask universe to have such a miserable old age that you will need a child to take care of yourself. And I hear that a lot of people tell me you are not getting married, you will regret in your old age. And I said, even if I suffer with some illness, which I make sure I don't get a lifestyle disease, I will take care of myself. But still, if I get it, I will be happy that I don't have a child, so that I'm not putting them through it.
True.
Yeah.
So true. So true. I completely agree with you. This change in mindset needs to happen. Agreed.
Yes. I'm sorry, I might have gone off topic. The
No, no,
question
no,
is,
no, absolutely not. No, 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 no. Please, please continue. Continue. So, yeah, so we just, I want to know. Sorry, go on.
I jotted down everything on the paper actually. I took a blank paper. I sat with my brother. Thankfully, I have an elder brother who is always been with me and who's 7 years elder than me. So he always like helped me to sail through things. So we actually had a plan. We wrote it on a paper. We decided what will we have to do. So I was like having initially I was struggling a lot. Like even I did not went to kitchen to fetch a glass of water, and now I was all the time into the kitchen. And I was struggling. I was like, oh my god, I have become a housewife without a husband. That was my feeling all the time. And then still, if I keep on doing it, my mother was getting worse and worse. So you like if you see her getting better, you still feel something good. Okay, you're doing some, but then you're burdened, you're physically exhausted, you are mentally exhausted, and you don't know what when this will end. And when you think when this will end, the things come to your mind, okay, maybe it will end when I die or my mother die. And both the feelings are not good. So that we wrote everything on a paper. We actually wrote down what work do I do in whole day. So even from washing clothes to like hanging them on the balcony and then bringing them back and folding. So we wrote 4 tasks, and that's how we started. So we started counting the tasks and then we assigned some time. We had a plan. So that's what I told you that this is how my mind works. So thankfully I was able to utilize those skills which I learned for something else, but then I put it to something else, repurposing of these skills. So that's
Wow.
how I did it.
Awesome. Now, there's one more question I have. I mean, couple of them actually, but I want to share a comment.
Uh-huh.
And it comes from Amita Singh. She says, "Brave girl, you're inspiration to so many out there. Just do what you feel like, need not worry about the people. You're the chosen one by God. Your story reminds me of my dad. Even I lost him due to medical reasons, and I was not able to hold his hand also. Stay
Okay.
strong."
More power to you, Amita. Thank you.
Thanks, Amita, for sharing that. And so my next question is again a follow up one on, so do you have anything that you can share with the world, this audience right now, and people are going to listen to it, like some sort of a checklist or some sort of a bullet points that, hey, you know what, if you take care of these basic things, of course I'm going to ask my audience to connect with you further and know you better and learn from how to actually do the caregiving, because it's one of the most essential things that we have to take care, especially now, because it need not be any elder person. It's just that everyone needs to know what caregiving basically means and how to do it, because you or even your spouse or your child might need that. And if you can take care of certain things, that would be helpful. So, Swati, do you have anything like you can share with the audience right now, which you can put across, that these are few pointers from your end?
Yeah, so like in simple words, caregiving means caring for somebody else apart from you. That's it. Like taking care of their physical, emotional, financial, and other needs. And especially if that person is a family, so you become an unsaid, unpaid, and unrecognized caregiver to them. Because that's how we work. We are social animals. We live in a setup, And that's where like my biologist in me kicks in. So that's how I see the world. Like it's an experiment and series of experiment, and I take the learnings from it and then I express it. So if you are in a situation like this, the first thing is that comes to your mind is you feel trapped. And first thing is to take out that, like untrap yourself. So that is the first thing anybody can do. And there is, I actually have a 7-step checklist. I will be happy to share it with you and the audience. So I have put a lot of thought into it, and I've like wrote down all these steps going back to the story of mine and connecting the dots, and how am I still doing it. I don't say I do it perfectly. There's always a scope of improvisation, and I'm still doing it every day, trying different experiments, just seeing what works for me. So but then there is a basic pattern, and I've been talking to a lot of caregivers lately. So I figured out this basic pattern. There are 7 steps to it. I will just share, like, I can start, like, one has to start with the feeling that they don't need to feel trapped into something. Because इस जिंदगी में जहां हम अपने आप को ही नहीं समझ पाते हैं और अपना ही ध्यान ढंग से नहीं रख पाते हैं, वहां किसी और का ध्यान रखना बर्डन ही लगता है, चाहे हम ये शब्द बोलें या ना बोलें। बिकॉज किसी भी चीज के लिए जब तक हम प्रिपेयर्ड नहीं है, वो बोझ ही लगेगा। सो अगर अचानक से आपके फैमिली मेंबर को अनफॉर्चुनेटली कोविड पॉजिटिव डिटेक्ट हो गया है, although they might not be facing a severe symptoms, but still they will be isolated and you will have to take care of them in a way that you might need to get them medication, food, clean clothes, sanitization, whatnot. And this will, और वो person आपके घर में रहता है तो कुछ ना कुछ तो contribute करता ही होगा. So now their duties are now your duties because that person is into isolation now. So then it adds on to your work as a household. So first thing is to stop feeling trapped into the situation. Once you feel that okay, I'm not trapped, it's okay, like calm down, you will have, and you have to say those words actually, that I'm not trapped, I chose this. Why did not you, like why don't I today ran away from this house? I'm educated, I can earn my own money and I can live. Why don't I ran today? Because I love my mother, I want to be with her, and it's a choice that I have made. So just understand that if you are taking care of your husband or your son or your daughter or your parents, you are making a choice. And when you feel that it's your choice, not anybody else, not anybody else's, like किसी ने थोपा नहीं है आप पे. So once you see that, it will give you a certain kind of empowerment which cannot be expressed in words. That will be a feeling that you will have, that you are in the control and you are not trapped, and okay, you can be the CEO of your caregiver journey now. So that's what I say, be the CEO of your life and do the things. And then second thing is to declutter. So I'll just go with these two things first of all to start with. Declutter your mind and your house. So when you start, maybe you are not, like you're not used to do your household work, and because now your house is now isolated, you cannot have house help, you cannot hire maids, so you will have to do everything by your own. So first, जो भी चीजें बीच बीच में आ रही हैं and you think that that thing is not useful and they are actually becoming a hurdle in your work, get rid of them. Declutter your house. The less things you have in your house, the more easy life you will have. So the first thing unknowingly which I did was, once I accepted that my father has gone now, and it is me who's going to be with my mother 24/7, and I will not go out and not pursue any kind of career because I tried a lot of house help and nurses and everything and nothing worked. Because the most difficult thing in a caregiver's life is to take care of the emotional needs of your loved one. And no amount of hired help can do it until unless they are like they have that instinct in them. Until and unless they cannot do it for money, they are doing it for money, you are doing it for love. So there is a difference. So once I realized it, the first thing I did was I donated everything from my father's room. I have not kept a single thing. I have donated even the bed that I was talking about. It's no more there. That's why I'm sitting on a chair now, a new chair. So I actually donated it to people, every single thing, and I converted this room into a work studio and our meditation room. My father was a quite religious person, and I thought that can be the best thing to do. Instead of converting this room into a storeroom, I decluttered everything I could, and still I do it. Like 2 days back, I post on social media. I decluttered my kitchen, completely decluttered it. So that's like there are like that. There are like 7 basic steps. If you do it, your life will become easy as a caregiver, no matter what situation you are. Like it's not only for COVID. In whatever situation you are, you can help process yourself better.
Awesome. Awesome. Fantastic. So I think you're gonna share that right with the. So may I just request you to add that as a file in all the platforms where we are live right now? Will that be okay?
Yeah, sure, I can do that.
Sure. Or
Happy to
you
do.
can even paste the link so that people can go and check it out. Perfect. Thank you very
Sure.
much. All right. So now we're almost at the tail end, and I would like to ask one question that I ask all my audience is that do you believe that stories impact? If yes, how so? I mean, and why so actually?
So I have panic attacks, and a lot of people have them, and they are not able to express it or to get help for that. So when we go to doctors, they usually give us some sedative or something to calm ourselves down. But then they have severe side effects also sometimes, depends on person. So they took a toll on me actually. And I shared this story in detail recently with a friend. And I actually expressed I was completely vulnerable. I opened everything and I told even about my I even shared how my bowel movements worked that time. I told everything to him because that story and the information and the pattern that he picked, he could help another person with it who was struggling with his own panic attacks and did not know where to turn up for help. So, thankfully, because we shared that story, that person could be like added some value with. I will not say rescued, but then just because I share my story and thank like just now, Amita, she shared that she lost her father and she could not even hold the hands. So I just felt a certain gratitude in my heart that thank God I was able to hold my father's hand. And that's the magic of story. So thank you to Amita that she shared that on a social media platform that her feelings and your feelings and your real emotions become your story. And also one thing I want to say about story is so when I remember my grandmother, the only thing that comes to my mind is food and stories. I know that a lot of people say I love my grandmother and this love is unsaid. Like being a grandchild, you get all the pampering you can. Like she used to stroke my hair like this. So I remember that feeling. I know that skin, the veins that were like on her hands, it became more prominent and thicker as she aged. Same is happening with my mother now. So when I hold my mother's hand, I can see like same patterns like Nani. So we and I still remember all those stories, thankfully. And I used to listen to them very curiously. Like when I got older, also still used to tell her, "Nani, please tell that story." And she was like, "Okay, I've told you 1,000 times already." But she never complained. She always was every time with same enthusiasm and same surprise element. She narrated that story, and
Mm.
a lot of life lessons I've learned from them. So that is the beauty of story. We are emotional human beings. That's what makes us human beings, apart from all the animalia kingdom, all the animals. So the emotions make us human beings. And the only way we understand anything, being a scientist also, I can say you that. So we start learning from limbic system. So if you say nice words to me, I can still sense that you are holding a knife back because I have that intelligence, that survival instinct. So we work on emotions, and that is why stories come into impact, and that is why I'm so happy to share everything, even my tears and everything. I'm happy to share it because I'm happy that somebody could relate to it, and maybe I know I'm blabbering, maybe, but somebody will pick something out of it, and that will help them to sail through this day at least. So I have been into those shoes when I wanted just this day to pass away. I
True.
I stopped thinking about future and I was like living on a daily basis. So I remember those days. They still come sometimes. This now also. So stories help me sail through them. So I just
True.
want to say that you are doing an amazing job bringing
Thank you.
out the stories, and it really feels a bit more healed every time you say your story. You will feel more healed 1% a day, maybe. So thank you for creating this platform where we can share it.
Thank you. Thank you. No, no, you're absolutely right. All the things that you said. And you're absolutely right in the fact that, we just saw an example, you sharing your story and how Amita just connected with you. And I don't know, even know whether she knows you. I mean, you are connected as a friend or something. But the whole point is that just listening to you, it got her into a certain stage of mind. And, now you can bond well, right? So there's a emotional bonding that just happened over the last 45, 50 minutes. So awesome, awesome. Thank you very much for coming to my show. And let me just tell to my lovely audience now, people who have been listening live and sharing so many likes on all the platforms that I can see it here. Probably Swati cannot see that, but and so what we're going to do the next steps is that Swati is going to either share us a link or she's going to share us the file in all the three platforms. So be it LinkedIn, Facebook, or YouTube. And please go through it and connect with her. I've also put her the link tree, which has got all the information about her. So connect with her, understand what caregiving is, and what is the basic difference of you know caregiving, that you have it in your mind, and what exactly the real life situations happen, right? So it's always nice to know it before getting into the situation, right?
Yeah.
Because caregiving is not something that you'll only do when someone comes with a cancer or a broken leg, right? It's just, it can happen every single day, right? So try and do that, connect with her. And if you want to come on to my show and impact many people, just like how Swati did, please ping me. My details are there as well. And Swati, once again, thank you very much.
Thank
Uh,
you.
God bless you with loads of courage and impacting other people. You have certainly taken care of your life and your mother's life. However, it would be really nice that now you go and impact many other people, and go global. And do say hello to your mom from my end. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So thank you very much once again for coming on to the show.
That's what I'm doing, Amit. Now I'm on a mission to help 10 million people who are
Wow.
suffering from breathing disorders for a long time, and their caregivers, their family members, to understand what is happening with them and to help them redesign their lives in a way that they can improve their quality of life.
Oh, that's awesome. Great. So there you go. So she's already on a mission, and all you need is to just click on her link and connect with her. That's all. right? All right, with that, we come to a closure of yet another interesting and impactful episode, number 38. And look out for next week with next guest. And till then, enjoy the rest of your Sunday wherever you are, and stay safe, specifically if you're in India. Okay, stay home. Yes, mask up. All right, thank you very much. Bye, Swati.
Bye bye.